Hey everyone, welcome to the Work Time Fun Podcast. I'm your co-Carell, and let's get this started. On today's podcast, I am joined by my regular guest co-host. If you could introduce yourself.
Raymond? Regular?
Yeah, regular guest co-host, because it's been a regular guest co-host. So, yeah, only one this time though, because we're still missing our buddy who's out on his vacation trip, right?
Yes.
Okay.
For a few episodes.
Yeah.
Not to spoil it.
Yeah. It's all right. He said he's keeping up with the shows. We'll see when he gets back. Anyways, on today's podcast, we're just going to be recapping the past week. What else have we been up to without our buddy? No trouble, I'm sure. We're going to recap about this past week because Raymond, I know you've mentioned you've watched quite a few movies or shows.
Yeah, I had a lot of free time this week. I saw 4 movies, and I guess I'll start with kind of the most obscure. I saw a movie called American Pop, which actually is my favorite of the movies I saw last week.
Really?
It's an animated movie that came out in 1981, directed by Ralph Bakshi. Are you familiar with Ralph Bakshi?
Ralph Bakshi? Not at all.
He's still alive.
Okay.
So apparently this guy, he might be like a Gen X. I think if you ask a Gen X person, they'd be like, oh yeah, Ralph Bakshi from the 70s. So he did Felix the Cat. He did Lord of the Rings, the animated movie. Do you remember that?
Really?
He probably didn't watch it, but he probably heard of it.
I know of it. I've never watched the animated movie.
Yeah. He's got a weird... It's like... Have you seen Heavy Metal?
I've heard of it as well.
Okay, well, he didn't work on that, but it's kind of that kind of aesthetic.
Okay.
I really like this movie. It's basically it spans 4 generations. It starts in like but an immigrant family during World War I time, and it progresses through World War II and in the 60s, and ends in, I guess, when this movie comes out, like late 70s, early 80s, and it's just about these, I guess, musically talented individuals in each generation who they want to be successful in music, but they run into these obstacles that keep them from, I guess, achieving their goal or their dream. For example, the first generation, it's a kid who immigrates into the World War I era, and he loves to sing, but he loses his voice because he's like an entertainer for the soldiers, and I guess an attack happens and bombs drop, and it kind of injured him, and he couldn't sing anymore. It's stories like that. It's very very adult. It's very violent. There's a lot of blood, a lot of violence, a lot of drugs. And it moves through these stories using popular music. So you hear Jimi Hendrix, swing, jazz, and it ends with Bob Seger's Night Moves. We're not Gen X people, but that's a very popular song for the Gen X crowd out there who's listening.
What kind of genre of music is that?
It's like rock. Like pop rock. Yeah,
hence
on your
American
own time.
Pop.
Just look up Bob Seger Night Moves. I think you'll recognize the song. You just
didn't
know what the name of the song was and who the singer was. I wish I should have shared a trailer, but I really love this visual style. It's rotoscope, and it's he also puts real live action shots, this actual video of fire in the back to show a building is on fire. So he's mixing in animation with real life video, and it has a cheap look to it. I don't know, I can't describe the animation from that time. It's
cheap compared to now, or cheap for the 80s when it came out?
Cheap. Another way to explain it's this movie had budget constraints, and they had to work within their budget. It felt I guess lo-fi is the best way I could explain it. There's something kind of gritty or grimy about how this kind of animation style looks. I really dig it. I guess an example would be like you remember the Deadpool movie where he had that bag of guns in the taxi.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is true or if Ryan Reynolds was just messing around, but I think in an interview he said, we were supposed to have a big shootout at the end, but we didn't have the budget for it. So we rewrote the scripts where he had to leave his guns in the taxi like on accident. And they just scripted like some martial arts like fight scene right at the end. Yeah, to save money. Like that's what this movie kind of feels like. It looks like they had some budget restrictions and they worked with it. I don't know. Nothing but nice things to say about this movie. And I thought I'd bring a lot of attention to it because I don't think anyone's really heard of this or anything that Ralph Bakshi has worked on. I might watch some of his other stuff. That's one. That's one thing I've watched.
Let's dig in there for a second. So, American Pop. I mean, are any of the stories based on like real life or true stories?
So I did read an interview with this director, and he said it's based on true stories, but not specific, like stories that his friends have told him about the immigration process. And there's actually a great scene. It's the second generation. So when I say generation, I mean that kid who lost his voice, he becomes an adult, and he meets a stripper and marries her because she is an aspiring singer, and he makes deals with the mob to get her to perform on stage. So he has connections to like the mob. This is like based in like New York City.
Okay.
So they have a kid. She gets murdered, but kid grows up. That kid's story starts. Does that make sense? So when I say 4 generations, it's like they're like offspring.
Hold on, who got murdered? What?
So they have a kid, but the wife gets murdered.
Oh, the wife gets murdered. Okay.
Yeah, by the mob.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. So then the story continues with this kid, and he grows up, and he's like a talented piano player.
Mm-hmm.
And and then so he wants to have this career like playing his music, but then because of the guilt of I think this is what happened. Like he has some guilt about having these ties to the mob and stuff. So he enlists into he joins the military and he fights in World War II. And then something happens to him. It's kind of a cool scene, like the way he gets killed. But before he got killed,
okay.
Before he got killed, I found out he got his wife. He got married before he joined. He got married. His wife was pregnant, and so when she has her kid, we move on to the next generation. And this is, you know what I mean? Like this. Now we're following this other story. And it goes to about 4 generations.
I see now. It makes sense. Yeah. It's following one family through their generations, right?
Yeah, and the passage of time is told through music. So you have like swing and jazz, and then like when we're transitioning to the next story, you hear like the Mamas and the Papas. You hear Jimi Hendrix. So like, we're in the 50s. Oh, not 50s. We're in the 60s now because now it's the music's changing. And they also spliced in like real life footage of like war and stuff like that. It's very cool. It feels so it's not something you would see today. Not because of the content, but like the way the movie looks. Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Okay.
Yeah, it has. So that means you got to watch it with commercials spliced in.
No sign up option, right?
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, what made you get in to watch American Pop? I mean, this is so obscure, in animation from the 80s. It's 2024 right now. How did you hear about this, or what made you watch this film or this animation?
I was just scrolling through Tubi, and I saw the I saw the name, and then I saw Ralph Bakshi, and that's a name that triggered something. So I've seen that name before, and he's notorious for having weird cartoons like Lord of the Rings and Felix the Cat, which I think is an X-rated cartoon at the time.
It was? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or rated X back then is different from rated X today.
Okay. I was like
it's
really?
like a hard R. Like there's boobs.
Yeah.
Right? I think boobs can be shown in an R-rated movie. I don't know. I haven't seen Felix the Cat. I might watch it. Oh, he also did Cool World.
Really?
Remember Cool World?
Yeah, Cool World. Oh, man.
Brad Pitt. Man, I think that was his last movie before he retired. Okay. I could be wrong. But.
Okay. Well, there's one work I'm kind of familiar with now.
There you go. It is I think it was I think it was panned by like critics. But I remember that movie was cool because it kind of followed up Roger Rabbit. And it was like a PG-13 or R-rated movie at the time.
Oh, it felt like hard PG-13. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It kind of played with the borderline. If it was PG, I don't know what rating it was, but it's.
And I think, and that look of that movie it kind of fits into what I'm trying to describe.
Okay, for American pop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of makes more sense.
I just saw it on Tubi, and I remember I saw the name, and then I Googled it. Well, I watched the trailer and I Googled, like, wait, is this good? And it's apparently considered one of his best, but it's not considered great. So. Okay. Yeah, that's why I chose to watch it.
Interesting. Cool.
Yep.
And then, what's next?
All right. I saw the original Godzilla from 1954.
Oh, that's not a change. Godzilla was this also on Tubi?
This was also on Tubi. And that is a gold mine for really obscure movies. Oh, I don't know Godzilla's that obscure.
Well, kinda. Especially from 1954, I'd say.
The very first... Actually, this is not the first one that was shown in the United States. This was...
oh, really?
I've heard that... Oh, I read that the one that I think most people are familiar with is Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which has Raymond Burr in it. And what they did was they took this movie and they spliced in Raymond Burr and had like lookalike actors to play the same characters. Or they have the characters like have their backs faced towards the camera, so it's like they try to kind of make it seem like he's in the same room as them. I haven't seen it, but I really want to watch it. And the whole message of the movie is completely like flipped.
Flipped in what do you mean? Flipped in what way?
So this Godzilla movie, not so subtle commentary about sort of the American military and post World War II Japan. So there's kind of like not a blatant, but it's implied to sound like an anti-American sentiment. Yeah, that's what like Godzilla could be seen as, America. I could see that metaphor. I kind of really like the metaphor that they're using here. I think it's really effective. I think it's kind of the strength of this movie. It's also it's not campy at all. It's kind of dark. It's serious. Like people are dying and they show the deaths, like like the bodies being carried away. When I think of Godzilla, you don't think of the people dying. Like Godzilla is fighting for the people, like another monster. Right? That's true. And also, we talked. I cut out
a little bit. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, like I said, I think we talked before recording, but our context for Godzilla when we grew up, would you say, was Matthew Broderick, 1998?
Oh yeah. At least, I know we both mentioned our introduction to Godzilla, at least, right?
Yes. And I think that Godzilla is kind of accurate because Godzilla is the bad guy in that movie. Whereas other Godzilla movies, I saw the 2014 one with Bryan Cranston.
I remember that one too.
He kind of worked with the people, but they just kind of didn't know yet, so they weren't sure.
I know there's like kind of that tonal shift, like the earlier 1998 Godzilla. Okay, he was clearly the bad monster I don't even remember the whole film, but I just remember Godzilla was the main bad guy, quote unquote. But then by the time you get to the 2014 one, you say with Bryan Cranston, at first Godzilla seemed like the antagonist, but he's actually like helping because he's fighting another monster that's actually the bad guy, right?
Mm.
Is that how it turns out to be? I kind of forgot. It's been some time.
No, I think so. I wonder how they made that clear because I know they all thought he was the bad guy. I'd have to rewatch it, but I guess I think it's probably pretty well done how they did that because it seemed pretty seamless.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, for me to remember, even like after however long it's been, almost a decade, practically, right?
That's right. It's 10 years old.
Yeah,
that's weird.
And then it's like I haven't really watched it again since, but I do remember that kind of specific detail. Like you initially think Godzilla's the bad guy, but later on you find out he's not. So
yeah, and I think just in general, like outside of the '98 Godzilla, I think Godzilla's generally a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for fans who entered that movie, they knew he was going to be a good guy, but I think they're trying to see like when the people would figure out. And I think Chow Yun-fat, I think he's in that movie, right?
Is he?
He's like there's an Asian guy in there. He's like a scientist.
Oh, come on.
I think it's Chow Yun-fat.
Don't generalize here, man. I'll have to check. Fact check.
There definitely is I don't want to click. There generally is an Asian guy.
Mm-hmm. I think there's always been an Asian guy in each one.
Godzilla's very Japanese.
In some capacity. But
oh, I googled the wrong thing. Chow Yun-fat Asian guy. Chow Yun-fat Godzilla.
All right. But anyways, even in the older Japanese versions of Godzilla, you do find out that he generally is kind of a good guy because he's always fighting other monsters that are more like, vicious or bad or I don't know. Like, at least from what I recall seeing from different clips and videos of old Godzilla films, or was it a TV show in Japan also?
Godzilla?
Yeah, or was it only movies? I'm trying to.
I feel like it's only movies.
Okay.
I'm
thinking like, the old puppet ones where it was clearly someone in a Godzilla costume,
I think those were all movies.
Okay.
And I want to apologize. It's not Chow Yun-fat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Great. Okay.
Oh my god. It's Ken Watanabe. So it's not even.
How could you mess that up, man?
That movie was 10 years ago. They're not even.
Yeah.
My bad.
And,
anyway, to continue.
Anyways, okay. Enough of the Godzilla, or I don't know if you had something more to add to that, but.
Well, I will say there's an interesting line in this movie. It's kind of innocuous. So when they discover who Godzilla is,
wait, hold up. You're talking about the 1954 film?
1954. We're back to 1954.
Yeah, 1954 Godzilla.
Not who Godzilla is. When they finally confirm that. Okay, so the movie starts like a bunch of boats in the same area are being destroyed.
Okay. And
there's a rumor going around it's a giant dinosaur. By the way, Godzilla's a dinosaur.
That's his origin.
When they finally have proof that it's a dinosaur, that Godzilla is real, I think they got pictures. Like he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up in these newspapers. So there's a scene where there's a bunch of civilians. I know they're either in a bus or they're on a bus stop. I don't remember. And they're all reading newspapers. So you see the headline, and it's kind of an innocuous line that stuck with me. This woman she says something like, "It's like, man, I just escaped Nagasaki, and now I get to go through this." I was like, "Oh my god!" And I realized that Nagasaki, the bombing was just like, this movie was 1954. That Nagasaki is like mid 40s. It's like less than 10 years ago when that bombing happened. I was like, wow, that's kind of powerful.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a weird window into like Japanese life post bombing. Like we got to go back to our mundane lives, like back to our routines. We just have back to like normalcy, I guess. Even though like freaking we just got bombed like twice. I thought it was a very not strange, but just a kind of a off-putting like line. How casual it is when she said it.
That 1954 film, it's a Japanese production, right? Or is
yes.
it? Okay.
Japanese.
Interesting. So.
And there is a scene where Godzilla is attacking, and there's a woman holding her kids, and she says something like, we're gonna join Daddy now or something, implying that
they're
Dad was killed. not by Godzilla, because it's Godzilla's first attack in that area, imply that he was killed likely
In the
from
war.
the bombing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
from the bomb.
The bomb. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I heard in the American version of Raymond Burr, they have that scene, but they don't translate her lines.
Mm.
So she's just speaking in Japanese.
Hmm.
So it sounds like she's just like screaming in terror at Godzilla
Oh, wow.
instead of saying, you know,
So kind of hiding the fact there, huh?
yeah, it's like they cut a lot of anti-American kind of sentiments. I really I might watch this, and maybe we'll talk about it next.
Oh, so there's like two versions of it, right? The Japanese and
Yes.
the American version. That's nuts.
And I think one last thing about that, I think because that version of the movie is so popular with Raymond Burr,
Hmm.
I think they made Godzilla seem less because I think they adopted this version of Godzilla or that version of Godzilla where he's more of like not really a threat to like the Japanese people.
Hmm.
He's just a monster who's no, I can't say because I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not gonna make that. I'm not gonna make a prediction on what I think about why Godzilla changed
Hmm.
from being a monster for the who killed people to a monster who fought for the people.
Yeah, or like
right, like a protector,
a benevolent monster, right? Like someone
yeah,
who's not really a protector of the people, kind of in a way.
yeah. Like
It kind of gets to that point.
when did he make that transition? I feel like there's something there with had American influence on it, but I don't want to make that call for sure.
That's a lot of old movie watching to figure out.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch because these movies look pretty bad.
So the original 1954 Japanese Godzilla. So it's clearly Godzilla was like clearly a bad guy, right? Or
yes,
okay, clearly a monster that killed and destroyed things, right?
yeah, and he's not trying to kill people. He's just there's one scientist. I think that's who Ken Watanabe. No, he doesn't. It's someone else.
Okay.
There's a scientist there who doesn't want to kill Godzilla, but all of the Japanese government, Japanese military is like, we want to kill Godzilla because he's a big monster and he killed people.
Isn't that how all movies are? Like, the scientist guy always wants to no, we need to do the research or whatever.
Yeah. We want to preserve him.
Yeah. And military is always like, no, we got to destroy it. Yeah. So.
Well, there's another layer there. So Godzilla's radioactive. So he's leaving off radiation wherever he steps.
Wherever he goes.
Because his big footprint is like radiation emanating from it.
Mm.
And that's because he lives in the water and someone is doing underwater nuclear testing.
Oh.
Someone is. And that's why Godzilla... and it kills all the food in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So Godzilla is hungry, so he comes up. And that's why Godzilla is out of his hiding space.
Mm-hmm.
And
emerges because of all the nuclear bombings and stuff, atomic bombs.
They can't kill him. Like the guns aren't killing him. They put like an electric fence, and that's not stopping him. And so they figure out that they find out that there's a scientist here who created this. It's kind of corny. He created like this weapon that can kill Godzilla. It's called like the oxygen destroyer, where it's like a bomb. Uh-huh. that sucks all the oxygen out of the area. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like another weapon, right?
Okay.
So the scientist is like, why don't we just study what makes Godzilla immune to radiation instead of creating a bigger weapon to kill Godzilla? So you can kind of see the metaphors they're spreading here. I think it's really cool. Anyway, they actually kill Godzilla in the movie. Not to spoil it.
Oh, wow. Well,
I'm sure there's a sequel where he comes back to life. But...
Talk about a 70-year-old movie, so that's fine.
That's right. That's some quick math.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's a love triangle that doesn't work. I don't know why they went there. But that's my only real complaint. It's campy. It's kind of corny, but that metaphor it's a little on the nose, but I think it's very powerful. Mm-hmm. So
Can't see
that's
that.
another positive. I know last week or last recording, I hated everything.
It definitely seemed
So
like it.
I'm coming in with a different,
Different tune.
different tune.
All right. Well, let's keep it rolling.
All right, well, I'm gonna combine these two.
Okay.
And I saw because I think I mentioned either off recording or on recording that my daughter's at an age where she can handle Disney movies. I think was it Snow White I watched last week or
I think it was Snow White because you're
Snow
complaining
White or
about the
101
dwarves.
Dalmatians.
I think Dalmatians was previous.
Previous, okay,
Yeah, and then Snow White was a more recent one.
okay. So this week we saw Aladdin,
Mm,
the one with Robin Williams,
nice. Good. The actual
uh,
good classic one.
the good one. Um,
Just kidding. They're all good. Hey, Disney, help us out. That's yeah.
yeah, does he fund our podcast?
Yeah.
Talk
Actually,
about your old movies.
yeah. Before you get there, just put
Yep.
some context. So I get the gist that you're just introducing your kid into all the old Disney classics. Is that right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of? Okay.
Disney Plus just kind of throws them up there. Let's pick one.
Gotcha. And cool. I think that's a really good and noble thing. So, anyways,
Yeah.
carry on with Aladdin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, because like just a year ago, like we play Aladdin, and the opening scene has that sand tiger
Mhm.
that eats the guy because he's not the diamond in the rough. I don't even remember, but he's not Aladdin. Only Aladdin can go in his mouth and get the lamp. Oh man, it's been a while.
Oh man.
That scene scared her.
Oh, you're talking about that cave, right? That
Yeah,
cave.
the Cave of Wonders. Is that?
I think so. Dude, you're making me like
Oh,
remember
okay.
stuff
Well,
from way like a long time ago.
it's a big tiger head,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And you walk inside. I guess
Oh,
only Aladdin was allowed in.
hey,
Yeah.
sorry to butt in, but I got this
No,
little
go for it.
factoid. Um, what did they say to open up that cave door? Or what's the magic words?
I forgot.
Like the usual like magic words to open something.
Was there a magic word?
Yeah, or phrase.
Oh man, this trivia's not gonna work for you if I don't remember. Well, I forgot what it was.
Okay, so it goes open sesame, right?
Is that what they said?
Yeah, isn't that what they say?
I don't remember that.
Okay, or maybe not, but it made me think of like okay, that kind of phrase in order to like some cave or some door to open. You always say open sesame. And
Okay,
I actually
the origin of this phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
It might not be Aladdin, but anyways, a little factoid I learned is like it's not open sesame. It's supposed to be open says me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, because someone said it probably like in an accent or something, so people misunderstood and just translated to open sesame. But it was supposed to be open says me. Yeah. That's a little factoid I wanted to throw in there.
Oh, is that true or is that just a joke?
I have no idea. It sounded true to me. I can't I can't speak for the validity of it, but
It's like
sounded cool.
the origin of nachos.
What's that?
Some guy saw a bunch of chips and cheese on a plate, and he said, "Oh, this looks pretty good." And he's about to grab one, and some guy's like, "Hey, they nachos." I was like, "Is that true?"
That sounds like a joke.
I don't know if that's true.
Could be true, but that sounds like a joke.
Don't tell those stories to a kid because they'll carry that with them. They'll say, "Oh, it's true." My, an older guy told me.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I quit.
Anyways,
I watched Aladdin.
Yeah. So back to Aladdin.
No, it's a movie still looks good. The songs are great, and Genie's like he carries this movie because if there's no Genie in this movie, like Aladdin's kind of a these characters are pretty generic and one dimensional.
It's pretty flat, would you say? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But man, Robin Williams as Genie,
he brings life to the movie, right?
Yeah,
life to all the characters.
That kind of manic energy, I don't think can be replicated by any. I can't think of an actor today who brings that kind of energy. I don't want to dwell on that because I can't think of any at the moment.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah,
that's why
it's a great movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, go
why
ahead.
he's the great Robin Williams, man. He was just awesome, man. Awesome. Can't speak
Yeah,
enough.
and it doesn't get annoying, I guess, because he is really everywhere in this movie.
Mhm.
But he is like the every scene he's in, he's like the best part of it, like the best part of that movie. Like he really chews those scenes. Uh, I thought of it like it's like dropping a Looney Tunes character into like a Disney movie
It's like throwing
because
it.
there are those. What's that?
I said it's like going to be throwing an Animaniacs character,
Yeah, like
almost, but not as
that's
manic
kind
as
of
those. But
that's kind of in the same realm because
mhm.
when I think of a Disney comedic character, I think of like the monkey, Abu. Like he
What?
kind of fits that mold of like you're the comic relief, or maybe Iago. But
That's the
yeah,
bird, right?
yeah,
The
he's kind of comic relief. It's like the Gilbert Gottfried kind of humor.
Yeah,
But if you put like there's so much more, there's so much tamer than like dropping like a Daffy Duck into this movie or like a Looney Tunes level character. Like the Looney Tunes is way more manic, I think, than
yeah,
the Disney movies or
agreed
Disney
there.
characters. Like
Yes, the animated characters, yeah,
yeah,
or characters in general. Yeah,
the movie's a little racist, I think, with the depictions there, and I think Disney Plus has a little pop up text
is
before
there
the
a
movie
warning?
starts.
A warning message?
Yeah, it says this movie is a product of its time, and there's some negative racial stereotypes,
Oh wow,
but we don't want to censor it, so we just want to put this warning up here instead. I think that's cool. That's a good way to show
dang!
racist stuff.
Even as recent as what? That was a '90s.
92, I
Yeah,
believe,
early '90s. Yeah,
or 94.
I thought those warning labels for like were just the older stuff.
Yeah, it's
uh,
funny. Like in the '90s, we didn't. They were already censoring blackface, but they
mhm.
didn't think about brownface. Brownface took another 30 years.
Actually,
Um,
can you briefly
yeah.
explain what was the racism? Because I mean, it was too long ago for me to remember or even recall. So,
Oh, just the depiction of like Middle Eastern culture and characters, and
mhm.
how Aladdin. Well, Jafar is a very Middle Eastern looking character, and then
Mhm.
Aladdin's a very Western looking with the big eyes and the
Oh, right. Jafar is like more slanted
yeah,
eyes, right? Yeah.
the enemies are more slant eyed, and
Hmm.
just how they like there's talks of like beheading and stuff, and um, I don't know if
Okay.
that's historically accurate.
Mm.
I think it could be. I don't know. It feels kind of outdated in
Yeah,
that
like
sense,
how
a little outdated.
gotcha. How they're depicted, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
Robin Williams, Genie, I can't recall, but I'm sure he says when he transforms into something else. I'm sure there's something not appropriate in one of those transformations. I have to
Man.
rewatch. Now I said that all the movies I saw were good.
Hmm.
I saw a movie like the day before we recorded. We're recording now.
Yeah.
Uh, my kid loved Aladdin so much, I thought I'd show her the sequel.
Mm.
So we watched The Return of Jafar,
Oh wow.
and
Another throwback. Yep.
yeah, without Robin Williams, they got Homer Simpson to give it a shot.
Oh really? He was.
The voice of Homer, yeah, Dan Castellaneta, I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Robin Williams had beef with Disney because of Aladdin, and so he wanted no part of the sequel. And
Oh, oh wow.
I think it's because he had a movie coming out around the same time as Aladdin. So
Mhm.
he said, "I will do Genie, but I don't want you promoting Genie in this movie." And Disney's like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do that." But Genie's like all over the promotional materials, so it's like they kind of broke contract with him, and he
Mm.
got mad, and he said he said he'd never worked for Disney again.
Mm.
And then the guy who broke that agreement, Jeff Katzenberg, I don't know his last name. That's Katzenberg. He went off to start DreamWorks, and when he left Disney for DreamWorks, Robin Williams came back to Disney and you know,
Oh
did
wow.
Genie again. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a
Huh.
lot of there's a lot of cool history with Aladdin. I don't know if there's time to get into it, but just
Um.
because of Robin Williams, the course of animated movies changed in the way they cast the voice actors.
Really?
Because now it's like we gotta have celebrities do voice acting for these characters. Before, Robin Williams very rarely have big name actors voice the characters. They have voice actors do it.
Mm-hmm.
But they saw how marketable Robin Williams was, and like, oh, what if we go make Shark Tale and throw Will Smith and who's Queen Latifah? I don't know who's in that movie, but every celebrity is in that movie, right?
Throw big names in to promote their
and they show
film.
it like when they show the Mario Brothers movie, it's like Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Jack Black. Like they show the names, and that's supposed to be a draw for the movie.
Oh yeah,
that's Robin Williams' fault.
What for doing the part?
For being so good
or
at
being
this
too
role.
famous.
Yeah, or just being great at making Aladdin a great movie. Anyway, Return of Jafar sucks.
Good, and bad.
Yeah, it's I don't mind the drop in animation quality because it is
okay, but
the story it's not even about Aladdin. It's about Iago, like his redemption arc. You probably don't remember this movie, but
not at all. I think I watched it once.
Yeah,
and as a kid.
It's bad in that I don't think the scope is much smaller. And when you think of sequels to any movie, usually when you make a sequel to a movie that's popular, the movie's usually bigger, yeah. Right? Iron Man 2 is bigger than Iron Man 1. Like Winter Soldier is bigger than Captain America.
Oh yeah, by far.
1, whatever that movie was called, First Avenger. Terminator 2, Terminator 1. Like you expect more, bigger. The scope is much larger. This movie is much smaller. Like it only takes place in the castle for the most part. Like Jafar, for some reason Jafar is discovered. So I guess they never really got rid of him, but he's discovered so quickly by some thug, and he has a plan. Like he wants to get revenge on Aladdin, and he could have had his revenge midway through the movie, but because of like plot armor, he like screws himself over. And I don't want to spoil how dumb his plan was to get revenge on Aladdin.
Talk about another 20-something-year-old movie or close.
Let's say this: he wants to kill Aladdin, but he could have killed him midway through the movie. But he rescues him because that's not the way he wants to kill him. Like he wants him to, I don't know, go to prison or something and be beheaded. He captures each character one by one, but locks them up in their own castle. Like everything takes place in the castle. It's like, why are they still here? Like, if you're gonna lock prisoners up, why lock them in their own castle? Like, take them to a shed or something, and I don't know, murder them. You're getting revenge, right?
Saving on background animation at this point. I don't know.
It feels like it's cheaper, but then if they're gonna go cheaper, have a more ambitious story, I guess. And I just want to bring up one more thing. Okay. The opening scene has like 4 racist caricatures looting like a cave of like treasure, and Aladdin comes in and interrupts it, and he steals the treasure from them. So I'm like, why is Aladdin stealing treasure? He's already like, he lives in the castle now. He married Princess Jasmine. Like, you're rich. Yeah. And it's even more egregious because he takes one of the treasures. It's like a flower, like a golden flower or something. And he gives it to Jasmine as a gift. Like, dude, he stole that. Like, they forgot that, hey, it's not cool to just steal because that's what you did when you were poor. Now that you're rich, you shouldn't be stealing anymore. You should be, sharing your bread with the kids, like in the first movie.
So just don't care about the morality of anything.
It's like they forgot. It's like there's so much. The writing is so bad.
Or maybe just kept them. Oh, once a thief, always a thief, kind of.
Yeah, that's what my cousin said. My cousin was watching with us. Like, oh, he has old habits. I was like, well, he's not a protagonist anymore.
Old habits die hard.
Genie, he tried. Homer's
the voice
of Homer Simpson. He kind of sounds like him. Genie's kind of annoying. Wow. Like he does the same thing, but he's like interrupting them when they talk, or when things are serious, he interrupts it with a joke. It's like, oh, Genie, you need to tone it down. You're kind of annoying.
I wonder if that's the writing fault or is that the voice actor's fault. I think when you
he
say
doesn't have the same gravitas
okay.
as Robin Williams, but
Oh, yeah.
I think he did a decent job.
Mhm.
But you can tell like the energy is not there. Like he can't keep up,
Yeah.
or he doesn't keep up with the pace of a OG Genie.
Yeah. Like our expectations of how Genie should be is not met with this.
Yeah, like
version.
I don't think he doesn't have the energy.
Mhm.
But he tried, and I'm not going to knock him for that. I'll knock the writing though for making him kind of obnoxious. Like, dude,
Yeah.
Genie, shut up! Not a good time for a joke, and your
Mhm.
jokes kind of suck.
Yeah.
And I had one more interesting, one more point I wanted to make. It's about oh man, let's see, we had Genie. Oh, maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
The songs are pretty good. I'll give it a
Oh, yeah.
a little point for that. The songs, they're not annoying. They're kind of catchy.
Hmm.
Oh man, I had one more. Oh, plot armor.
Okay.
So the only way to kill, I'm gonna kind of spoil it. The only way to kill Jafar is to destroy the lamp. So,
what?
because he's a genie, right? If you destroy the lamp,
wait, yeah. Was that from
Jafar is a
the
genie.
last movie, right?
Yeah. It's a continuation. So
Yeah.
he's a genie,
Mhm.
and he's super powerful. But if you destroy the lamp, you destroy Jafar. So Aladdin and them, they're trying to find a way to steal the lamp from that goon.
Mhm.
And then Jafar sees like the lamp was left behind for some reason. And then Aladdin's about to reach for it. And he's like, don't you dare. And he splits the ground up. So there's lava underneath. Right? So like the lamp is now sitting on an island. So I'm like,
Okay.
why would you put your lamp in more danger? Because now there's lava surrounding the lamp, right? And Iago tries to distract him, but he smacks Iago, and Iago falls by the lamp, like all dizzy. But anyway, the lamp falls in the lava. It's like you did this to yourself.
He created
like,
his own method of demise, right?
Yeah, it's like I saw it coming. It's like, oh, why is there lava everywhere? This is how he's gonna die. Because I didn't know their plan.
Remember, it's a kid's movie. It's gotta be simplified.
Well, my kid walked away. So
oh, wow.
she got bored. She went to play Legos. I finished the movie.
Okay.
So yeah, that's actually a good reason. Like, hey, kids know when a movie sucks. If they see a good Aladdin movie and they see a terrible sequel, you can't fool them. That movie is worse. They'll know. And they'll play. They'll get distracted, and then they'll bother like your grandparents to play with them.
Nice. Yeah, you made a really good point there.
Yeah.
The kid.
Anyway, it's so easy to hate something and just to praise. So I'll stop there. But that movie was not good.
Okay.
And I do want to see the third one just to kind of wrap it up.
There's a third one?
Yeah, Aladdin and the King of Thieves or the Prince of Thieves.
I didn't even know.
Robin Williams comes back.
I might have to give that a rewatch.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah. When you said third movie, I was thinking about the live action one now. So, well, that's besides the point.
That's all I've watched. I hope that's a good time filler for us.
Okay. Let's get them out of there.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting picks there. I mean, it looks like that you stream through Tubi, so you get a lot of inspiration of watching movies there.
And Disney Plus.
Yeah, and Disney Plus. But that's more of like, a regular thing.
It's for my kid.
Yeah.
They're probably going to recommend the third movie, so it's like, oh, let's just finish it. I want to remember. It also brings back my nostalgia.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you have another good indicator of how well or how bad a movie is by your kids staying, paying attention to it or not.
Yeah, well, I asked her, like, why don't you want to watch this? And she said, it doesn't look as good as the first movie. So I think her complaint was the animation.
Oh, really?
It's like, well, we have to have a discussion about budgets, right? This is straight to video. They don't even have the budget of the first movie. So I'll bring in, we'll talk about movie budgets and stuff before we watch the third one.
Oh, yeah. Bring her graphs and everything. Sure.
You think we're going to spend money on a VHS tape?
That's all. She only knows Disney Plus now, so.
I know.
All
right?
the same.
Those VHS. That's so weird.
Yeah, you're so old. We're sold. Okay.
I should mention, like, when you take a picture with your phone,
Mhm.
that shutter sound, they don't know what that is. The camera shutter, the click.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They just think it's just a confirmation of a photo taken.
Yeah. Or like when you save your file on Microsoft Word, you see that diskette. They don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Kids
That's
today.
so weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. I guess transition to whatever I've watched for this past week. So in the theme of, okay, some of the movies you watched, I watched a kind of a classic, I mean, more current, Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure most
Guillermo
people should
del
remember.
Toro.
Oh, yeah. And then, what's his name? Charlie Hunnam is the main character. A lot of people
forgot who's in that movie.
Yeah. And then, Marco, or I forgot the girl's name. It was quite interesting because I remember watching this, but I didn't quite remember everything. So watching this back again, and I caught it on Netflix because it was like, their newest release, even though it's an older movie. But, yeah, I was like, man, honestly, I was thinking of trying to watch something about Godzilla because I know we discussed about what movies and shows we watched. So I was actually kind of looking for a Godzilla movie. But then it's like, crap. Nothing's really available that I wanted to watch. But Pacific Rim was there. I thought, okay, cool. That's similar. It's monsters fighting. But
sure,
instead of a good guy monster, it's giant robot mech. So, I'm trying to think about what made Pacific Rim so popular. I mean, is it because
Guillermo del Toro for one?
The visuals, I think, yeah. I mean, it was awesome visuals, at least for the time. I mean, it looks really good even when I watched it on Netflix. And then, of course, you get huge, big monster battles. I don't know too many movies or films that have, like, humans inside of big robot mechs fighting, these outlandish
this might have been
creatures.
one of the first to, like, have, like, a live-action Gundam style.
Yeah, because everything else is, like, animated or anime or something of that sort. And we haven't really had something like that, like you said, in live action form. So I think this was kind of that first iteration of that, of this kind. So I think that was the big draw. And plus, it was a decent story. It was heartfelt when Charlie Hunnam's character had his brother and then he died during a battle. So, of course, he kind of fell off and stopped being I don't know what you call it, a pilot, I think, for those mechs. And then
I'm trying to remember, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I watched this. No worries. And then so the threat of all the monsters is increasing. Like the frequency of them coming up was starting to become.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
More and more like quicker. And then so they have to recruit him back. And then but he doesn't have his brother, obviously, because his brother died during his last fight. So they have to find a replacement. And there's a whole story of that, of how they have to be, like, work together, be compatible, and that whole steal.
Does it take two people to, like, run a mech or something?
Yes. So that's the thing with these mechs. They tried with just one person, but because it's like they have to sync their brains to the robot to function for some reason. Right. Yeah. It's like one person is it's too much for them to handle, to control one mech. So they have to use two people to share the burden of that stress. But then you have to have a good bond with that other person because it's like some kind of mind meld. Their minds are mixed together. And so the more attuned they are, usually you'll see the different pilots in the movie. They're like twins or they're brothers and sisters or there's a father-son duo, like usually related in some sort. And then this was like one of the first ones where, Charlie Hunnam's main character matches with someone else completely different. But anyways, story goes, they match, they go through their crying moments, they get better, and then they defeat the monsters or destroy the tunnel where they're coming from. I forgot that little portal thing. So, well,
did you like the movie? I remember not liking this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back. I just did a quick gist of the movie because whatever, it's been years.
Go ahead.
But anyways, I remember first time I watched it, I enjoyed it more so because of the action and just like seeing the cool, like, oh man, mechs versus monsters. It's fun.
It's like a cool premise.
Yeah, fun entertainment thrill. Action.
Yeah.
Stories, whatever. It's okay enough. It's passable. So it's no Oscar winning,
sure,
thing or whatever. It's not superb writing, but as far as entertaining, I definitely felt entertained. And after watching it again on Netflix, I was wholly entertained. I had fun watching it again, and remember, oh, okay, now I paid attention to the story a little bit more because it's my second, third viewing. I don't know how many times I've watched it, but yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So between this and Godzilla 2014,
oh man,
because I favor one way more than the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you can go ahead and explain. I mean, go ahead and expand on what you were going to say.
Oh,
or you're asking me?
I was asking you.
Oh, okay. What's your question? Sorry.
What is this movie? This movie or Godzilla 2014, which is the better movie? Because they're both monster movies, kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
I know they're different stories, different tone, but
yeah, I'll give you this. I enjoyed the Godzilla 2014 film because it has a way more in-depth story, and you feel the connection to the characters, and like it's storylines, the plus, like it's just way more in depth and way more detailed than the Pacific Rim movie. But I'll be honest, I had more fun out of the Pacific Rim movie, just the entertainment value of it, as opposed to Godzilla 2014.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it was a good movie, Godzilla 2. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed that too. But it's like, like I enjoyed the story, but I'm not entertained as much. Like I could feel a little bit bored at sometimes because it felt long to me. I remember just feeling kind of bored at moments. Like I'm still intrigued. I like the story, but get to the monster.
It kind of blue balls you, right? They kind of tease action, but they hide it.
Like for a lot of times,
you
don't really see them, right? For a lot of the film until
I think that's intentional. I think we're gonna save all the action for the very end.
Yeah,
I just thought that scene where they skydive with the red smoke following them.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that they skydive into the city?
I remember that part. I don't remember it entirely, but I remember it.
I just thought that whole sequence is better than anything I saw on Pacific Rim. I guess from what I remember, Pacific Rim, those action scenes, they're just noise to me. I guess it's. I think Roger Ebert said something like, "Action without consequence is just noise" or something. It's like, punch, punch, punch for 20 minutes. It's like, well, now we're not really advancing anything here. We're just seeing some guy's graphic design skills or animation skills on display. I gotta watch the movie again. I know it's been a while, but I just remember thinking that a lot of those action scenes were kind of dull. But again, because of the 24, there's not many action scenes, right? They obscure it. A lot of movie takes place at night.
Yeah,
actually, Pacific Rim takes place at night.
No, there's daytime fights, but I mean, thematically, they're kind of two different films. So,
yeah,
because 2014, it's definitely a story kind of movie. Its strength lies in its story. And
I think the characters are pretty dull, but it's more narrative focused. I guess.
However you explain it, you're better to
explain. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, and then Pacific Rim, it's just like, hey, it's just monsters brawling, basically. It's just a thrill ride. So
I'm trying to think of something similar that isn't dull, but I'm thinking of Jurassic Park now.
You mean something that's kind of dull and exciting at the same time, or how do you mean?
Something that's a little more lighter in tone, but somehow has the same kind of thrills. But Jurassic Park is not really action; that's more thriller, like monster chasing someone.
Yeah, I will say, in Pacific Rim, there's cheesy characters, and some of the dialogue is just laughable.
Yeah,
and what's his name? Charlie Day as a scientist. I was like, really? Come on.
I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah. I know him more from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, So
Right.
I can't get my mind off of this goofball character being like this, kind of.
Is he also a scientist in Jurassic World?
Is he? He probably is.
Is he in that movie? Well, I know he's Luigi.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Which is more fitting for his part, but
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know the roster of Jurassic World. I'm not much of a fan of it, so
Yeah, that's not a good. I mean, that's another. That movie kind of took itself seriously too.
Mm-hmm.
No, not really. I mean,
yeah,
it's a mix.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find an equivalent of Pacific Rim, but I guess I won't come up with one before we're done recording. So.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
That's fine.
But anyways, yeah. At least in comparison to those two films, both enjoyable in two different ways. We'll say that. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that wraps it up for us. So any final words, Raymond, or anything else? And any plugs, last things?
Plug. Okay. Letterboxd, paid lunch break, capital P, capital L, capital B. I reviewed 4 movies. And spoiler, I didn't like Return of Jafar. It got one of my lowest reviews, or lowest. I think it's a 5-star.
5-star rating
scale. I think it's like a 10-point scale because they have half points.
Okay.
So it's 5 stars, but you can do halves. That's technically 10 points. This one was pretty low. I think it was a 3 out of 10 or 1.5 stars. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can plug.
About how many episodes or movies or shows have you rated so far?
Oh, plenty now. I would say probably 10. Oh, around 10. I'm not counting. I didn't write reviews until we started podcasting. I was just putting the star reviews.
Okay.
In terms of just giving stars, there's probably 20 plus.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. In terms of written reviews. Yeah, like this last. Yeah. Half maybe.
Oh, all right. Puzzle. I still need to catch up, so.
Yeah, you're watching like 30 movies a week.
I know. It's like I'm kind of torn. I gotta watch shows and then give my thoughts and plans and everything. So
I heard Letterboxd is gonna add like a more streamlined way of reviewing TV shows.
Oh.
But I'm not putting TV shows on mine.
Strictly movies.
Yeah, it's too much.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. I'll plug mine. I mean, what's it called? Letterboxd, Work Time Fun podcast. And
yes.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So I think that wraps up for us. So all of you, I hope you enjoyed what we had to speak about today. And I hope you enjoyed listening to us. So until next time, have a fantastic day. Hey guys, thanks for listening to our show. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for us, we greatly appreciate that. If you can send us an email to worktimefunpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a message at X, formerly known as Twitter, and our handle is @worktimefunpod. Thanks again.